The Rockies. The Rockies, the Rockies, the Rockies. The season comes to a merciful end in unsurprising fashion as the Los Angeles Dodgers roll into town, sweep the weekend series, come from behind, and beat the Rockies on Sunday afternoon. Charlie Blackmon's final game of his major league career. Rockies lose 2-1. Wah, wah, wah. And they finish with 101 losses. Is it going to get any better next year? Let's hope so. Final postcast of the year. Let's dive on into it. We'll break down this game, some thoughts on Chuck and the state of the franchise moving forward.
You are Locked On Rockies POSTCAST, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your Locked On Rockies postcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with me today and over the course of the entire Major League, well, I guess not the entire because I didn't start till like June, but a majority of the Major League Baseball season. It has been an absolute pleasure, first and foremost, to man the ship here on the Locked On Rockies postcast. I've had a good time doing it. Thankfully, I'm a baseball guy. It's my favorite sport. So I look, do I wish they were better? Obviously, I'm sure we all do. But generally, I've had such an incredible time hosting these Locked On Rockies postcasts. And it's been because of you, the fans, and Locked On Sports, Mile High Sports for giving me this opportunity. So it was an absolute pleasure to be here with you guys on this Sunday afternoon, September the 29th, as the Colorado Rockies, as I mentioned, lose their final game of the season in sorry fashion. Quick game. It looked like they might actually be able to go out on the high note here, but they do not, as the Los Angeles Dodgers storm from behind, score a couple of runs there in the 8th inning, and that is all she wrote for Colorado Rockies baseball this season. And what else is there really to say? Of course, we'll talk about it here on your Locked On Rockies postcast, but make sure to subscribe to that Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. That way you guys never, ever miss an episode of your Locked On Rockies, Buffs, Broncos, and Nuggets postcast, all hosted by yours truly. And again, you can follow me on social at Media by AP. Really appreciate each and every one of you that have been rocking with me throughout the course of the season. But okay, let's do a little game flow here so that we can pay homage to Chuck and get into some bigger picture thoughts about the state of the organization as we move now into what is officially the off season for the Colorado Rockies. Sorry, I don't like the way that hat looks on the YouTube stream. I was trying to switch it up because I did another show, and I think I was wearing this hat today for the Broncos, but different shirt, I think at least. I don't know. Third show of the day. I did a SCO show, Mile High Sports YouTube channel, Locked On Broncos, and now Locked On Rockies. And then after this, I'm going to go get some burritos, and I'm going to watch some Sunday Night Football. But good day, man. I'm living the dream. Cannot complain about doing these shows literally whatsoever. What else would I be doing, man? So it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. But yes, Charlie Blackmon's final game in a Rockies uniform. And like I said, it looked like they were actually going to be able to try to pull this one off. They got out to an early 1-0 lead. Really not a lot of offense in this game. Only 11 hits collectively between the Dodgers and the Rockies. Only 3 runs scored in the entirety of the game. And the Rockies were able to jump out to an early 1-0 lead. Sam Hilliard hitting his 10th and final home run of the season. This one to right field. And they gave me this little metric here on my breakdown. The Rockies at that point had a 62.6% chance to win the ball game. Obviously, they did not, which is unfortunately not a surprise for how this season has gone and who the Colorado Rockies are. But that's where we were at. And then really, it was just a relatively quiet game from that point on. I mean, no runs until the 8th inning. So essentially, innings 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up, down, up, down, up, down for the most part. And that's it. Shohei Ohtani at one point stole his 59th base of the season in this game. And I was at the game on Friday as a fan, and then I was doing Buffs watch party yesterday. That's why you didn't have a show for me on Friday or Saturday. I personally wanted to go out and see Charlie Blackmon one more time. And that was such a vibe, man. Like, I was up on the rooftop. We got some last-minute tickets, and every time Chuck would come to bat, Josie's on a vacation far away. I'm screaming tonight at the top of my lungs, just like all the other Rockies fans were around me. Beautiful weekend for the final weekend of baseball here in Colorado. I mean, it's 90 degrees today. I wish it was a little bit cooler, but you really can't ask for much more, man. I always say it, Coors Field is Denver's best bar. Your ticket is your cover fee, at least when the Rockies are this bad. But nice to see, I know a lot of it has to do with the Dodgers being in town and whatnot, but nice to see Coors Field pretty packed out here for the final game and the final homestand and the final series of the season. And I do think Charlie Blackmon announcing his retirement last Monday, I think went a long way in kind of, giving fans a little bit of a heads up. They had 6 games, 6 opportunities to get in the ballpark and see Chuck for the final time and pay homage. And unfortunately, like I said, the Dodgers just destroyed them. I mean, the first 2 games in this series were completely uncompetitive, and today was a competitive one, but Rockies are going to Rocky, and they ended up losing tonight 2-1. I got some bigger picture thoughts, but like I said, I mean, there's really not a whole lot to this game, to be honest with you. Like, Sam Hilliard home run the bottom half of the second inning. And then from there, it was kind of just a slow-paced game, or a fast-paced game, but not a lot of action. Let's fast forward here to the top half of the 8th inning. We'll show you how the Dodgers end up scoring their runs in this one. Victor Vodnik, who was better for the Rockies in the middle of the season, really tapered off as the season went on. He replaced Luis Peralta out of the bullpen and immediately gave up a home run to Chris Taylor, only his 4th of the season for Chris Taylor. And that tied it up and let's see here. Yeah, that was it was a 3-1 pitch. So he had to, he was trying to work back into the count here, and Chris Taylor just belts this thing not over the Bright Edge barrier, but right next to it where the old school scores sit in right field. So that's how the Dodgers scored their first run of the ball game. And then from there, Victor Vodnik was able to get Andy Pius to ground out. And so that gives the Rockies 1 out, tie game 1-1. And then it all kind of just spilled over here. Austin Barnes hits a single to center field. And then Shohei Ohtani does what Shohei Ohtani does. He hits an RBI single to right field. That brings around Austin Barnes to score. And that's essentially it. And one thing on Shohei real quick, man. When I was at the game on Friday, I was with some friends, I was chit-chatting, right, paying attention and all that kind of stuff. But when Shohei Ohtani is up to bat, that is drop everything you're doing, pause your conversations, and witness. Because he is just so sensational. And I was lucky enough to be in the building for the All-Star game when Shohei Ohtani was, he didn't perform all that well in the home run derby, but to be able to see him up close and personal and swinging for the fences, and now having seen him multiple times in the flesh, in real life, in actual baseball games, I mean, I was a little bit of a Shohei skeptic. I'm not even going to lie. When he first came in with the Angels, I was like, there's no way, right? There's no way that this guy can pitch and hit at a high level at the same time. And lo and behold, that's exactly what he's done. First 50-50 season in the history of Major League Baseball. And I will say this, I think the only reason as to why he was able to eclipse that is because he was not pitching this year. He's not going to play every day when he's pitching, less energy that you want to exert, right? It's just a different mindset, I can imagine, when you are pitching every 5th day on top of, playing the, designated hitter and all that kind of stuff. But he is absolutely incredible. And the one benefit for the Rockies of the Dodgers getting Shohei Ohtani is we get to see him in the flesh at Coors Field for a handful of times this season. So that's a good thing. But beyond that, man, I mean, just not a whole lot cooking for the Rockies today. Their offense was not very good. Shocker. Let's see. They struck out 12 times today, so ending it in proper Rockies fashion. And, Charlie Blackmon, though, I'll save some thoughts for him coming up here in just a moment in the next segment. Yanked in the 3rd inning of this game, had an opportunity to, say his goodbyes, ended on a high note. He had a base hit in the game, hitting leadoff, in his classic leadoff spot. And so it was really cool to see Chuck get the send-off that he deserved. I was watching the post-game show on my TV as well. And, after the last game of the season, all the players and the coaches and the staff, they go around the field, high fives to the fans, a little appreciation for enduring another brutal season of Rockies baseball. But in all seriousness, the Rockies as an organization do a great job in regards to, treating their players the right way, treating the fans the right way outside of the product on the field. Like, Coors Field is a fantastic place to catch a ball game. And the Rockies organization, from a fan perspective, winning aside, I think is one of the best in Major League Baseball. And, even Chuck was talking with Ryan Spilborghs, and he was asking, how's it feel? And he's like, I don't even know what to say. Just kind of at a loss for words. He got the Toyota truck there that was sitting up in left field on top of right next to the scoreboard. His daughter, I believe, threw out the first pitch today. His parents on Friday or Saturday threw out the first pitch. So really cool to kind of see the Rockies take care of one of their franchise greats as Charlie Blackmon plays his final game of his Major League Baseball career. Bearing a comeback, but I don't think anyone is expecting that. So 2-1 your final score. Dodgers improved to 98 and 64. Rockies at 61 and 101. It was Ryan Feltner on the mound. His final start of the season, he was pretty good. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs. Love to see that. 2 walks and 3 strikeouts. He finishes his season with a 4.49 ERA. Luis Peralta throws a clean inning with a strikeout. Victor Vodnik, unfortunately, the lone pitcher responsible for the damage today from the Dodgers lineup. Only a third of an inning pitched, 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned. And he did give up that home run as well. And then Seth Holverson, who was able to turn in a pretty solid second half of the season in his opportunities, inning and 2/3, ERA down to 1.46, 3 strikeouts this afternoon, I should say, from Seth Holverson. And he is a guy that can touch 101 and 102 with the fastball on a consistent basis. And his nasty changeup is a really, really good off-speed pitch to kind of offset the juice that he's able to throw with the fastball. So that's all she wrote for the game today. Pretty much sums it up. Rockies lineup, not too good. We'll kind of take a look at the box score here in a minute. I'll break that down. But why don't we hit our first break so we can talk a little Charlie Blackmon and the state of the Rockies organization. So stick with me. We'll be right back here on your Locked On Rockies postcast. If you got any thoughts or comments, make sure to drop them. And I'll be back in just a minute or so. All right, you guys, let me tell you about my friends over at FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Be sure to check them out, guys. I said it if you caught the Locked On Buffs postcast last night, or if you caught today's Locked On Broncos postcast, say it every time, man. I'm an active FanDuel user, my personal favorite sportsbook. I actually use the FanDuel app to keep track of games more than I do like ESPN or Bleacher Report these days. I mean, I feel like they have the best, most up-to-the-minute information, and, my guy Travis Hunter, Scope Buffs, right? You can't bet on the Heisman Trophy in Colorado. So I think I'm going to go take a drive up to Wyoming because I think Travis Hunter should 100% unequivocally be the Heisman Trophy winner. So I think I'm going to take a stroll up to Wyoming. I'm going to cross the border. I'm going to open up my little FanDuel sportsbook, and I'm going to throw down on Travis Hunter to win the Heisman Trophy because he is the best player in college football, and it's really not even a competition. But be sure to check out our friends over at FanDuel, guys. FanDuel.com/lockedon. And one more time for you, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet on FanDuel. Check them out, FanDuel.com/lockedon, and let them know that Locked On Rockies sent you. Welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro, but an absolute pleasure to talk Rockies baseball with you guys throughout the course of the season. To everybody that is tuned in, dropped comments, doing the crossovers with my guy Pete Fox. Really appreciate you guys. This was my first introduction to Locked On Sports, and fortunately for me, it's been able to blossom into much, much more with Broncos, Buffs, and Nuggets. So, I'll be back again next summer, bearing anything crazy, and hopefully we've got less than 100 losses for the Rockies, but either way, I'll make sure to keep you guys as informed and up to date as possible right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast. But real quick on the lineup, guys, they only generate 6 hits today. Of course, one of them being Charlie Blackmon, but really just quiet outside of that. Ezekiel Tovar finishes his final game 0 for 4. No strikeouts, though, but still not great. Ryan McMahon's season comes to a merciful end as well. He finishes with a .242 batting average, 4 plate appearances today and a strikeout. This was the Rockies' lone all-star representative, and I'll save some McMahon thoughts for when I get into some bigger picture conversation about the organization. But he was the lone Rockies representative at the all-star game this summer, and I believe he was hitting either 200 or below 200 from the all-star game on. And again, one of their more valuable trade commodities. I'm not sure what packages were offered out there. But obviously, Ryan McMahon loves the Rockies. Dick Monfort loves Ryan McMahon, so he sticks around. But merciful end for his season. Bad end for the season for him. Michael Toglia had a base hit today. He struck out twice as well. Nolan Jones, you want to talk about merciful seasons coming to an end. That needed to end for him. He finishes with a 227 batting average. Did have a base hit today, drew a walk and punched out once, but just a bad season, injury-riddled season for Nolan Jones. Ones across the board for Sam Hilliard, though. 1 run scored, 1 hit, 1 RBI, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. So hopefully Hilliard, if he's back with the club next year, can give him some more. Jake Cave had a base hit today, but 3 strikeouts, and Aaron Schunk had a pair of strikeouts as well, and Drew Romo had a base hit, but limited sample size for the youngster behind the plate. Don't really have too many concrete thoughts yet on who Drew Romo might be for the Rockies here moving forward, but 33 at-bats, 12 strikeouts, 2 walks. That was the afternoon for the Rockies lineup. But all right, let's talk a little Chuck Nasty here. Because he gets yanked in the early portions. Well, first, let's start from the beginning. I just posted this on the Mile High Sports Instagram and TikTok pages as well. So if you want to see this for yourself, go check us out over there at Mile High Sports. But before the game, Charlie Blackmon, and I think it was for this weekend series too against the Dodgers, they had etched the number 19 out there in center field, to pay homage to him. But before the game had started, Charlie was the first player to take the field. And he took the field by himself. It was like a 1:30 process before any of the other Rockies came out there. I really encourage you guys to go check this out on the Mile High Sports Instagram because, he's running out of the running out of the dugout, and he gives himself like a let's go, like one last kind of roar from Chuck Nasty as he runs out onto the field for the final time as a member of the Rockies and his final game as a Major League Baseball player. And, standing ovation, cheering from all the Rockies fans. He takes his cap off, a little salute to the fan base, and just a really cool moment, man, because I've said this time again, I would not go as far to say that Charlie Blackmon is a Rockies legend. I think that is reserved for the 2 Hall of Fame players and Larry Walker and Todd Helton. But I do think Charlie Blackmon is a franchise icon. A top 10 all-time Rocky, one of the most recognizable faces in the organization. And the way that I kind of break it up myself is I think the 3 best players, one of them is a little controversial, the 3 best players in Rockies history that I would consider, I'm not going to say one of them's a legend yet, but in regards to talent and all things considered, like just impact players across the board, Larry Walker, Todd Helton, Nolan Arenado. And I understand that Nolan Arenado's tenure with the Rockies did not come to a pleasant end. It's not like it's going too well for him in St. Louis either right now. But, thankfully the scheduling worked out and Nolan was able to be in attendance for Charlie Blackmon's retirement press conference, which was super cool to see. But I put Charlie Blackmon in that second tier in regards to greatness, like not personality, not love from the fan base or anything like that, but in regards to on the field play. I think Charlie Blackmon's with the Vinny Castillas of the world, the Dante Bichette's of the world, the Matt Hollidays of the world. And maybe I'll be a hypocrite then, because if I'm not putting Matt Holliday in tier 1, maybe I should put Nolan in tier 2. Trevor Story, I think the closest comp in regards to a guy like in Charlie Blackmon in regards to who he means to the organization is Vinny Castilla. And I don't think that Charlie's going to have much of a role like Vinny does, right? Vinny's in the clubhouse every single day, chatting with the Latin players, and just has always been a part of the Rockies organization since their conception, essentially. But I think in regards to the love from the fan base, right? Like, who has anything bad to say about Vinny Castilla? Who has anything bad to say about Charlie Blackmon? That's kind of how I feel about it. And so it was cool to see him get that moment before the game. And then obviously, I saw some controversy about this on Twitter. The Rockies yanked Blackmon in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. He got a 1-out single up the middle when the Rockies were up 1-0. There 2 outs, and they proceeded to take him out of the game at that moment. And I know I saw some people on social media like, why did they let him play more, right? What do you want to do? You want to risk him going out there and striking out a couple of times, or would you rather see Charlie Blackmon go out on a high note on a base hit? And I had no problems with the Rockies yanking Blackmon when they did it. It reminded me a little bit of like Mariano Rivera. Remember where Andy Pettitte and Derek Jeter were the ones that came out to, take him out of the game in his final appearance with the New York Yankees? That's probably well over 10 years ago now, because I just saw Derek Jeter's Derek Jeter's final game was 10 years ago. And that ended, of course, just in typical Jeter fashion with a walk-off hit. Like, it's just a classic Jeter, classic Yankees, who I don't like, but I do like Derek Jeter, or respect Derek Jeter, rather, I should say. But I do like how the Rockies handled it, giving Charlie Blackmon an opportunity, giving the fans an opportunity to kind of leave it on a high note, right? This game today didn't mean anything. The only thing that this game meant today was to pay homage to Charlie Blackmon. They even mentioned that on the post-game show on TV, that like the end result of this game, nobody really cares, right? They lost 100 games. They already crossed that threshold last night. Today was lost 101. And today was about honoring and remembering an all-time player in your franchise history, someone that I hope has a role in the organization to some degree moving forward. I think it was in his retirement press conference. He mentioned how he wants to come out to spring training, wants to be around the guys. And for the last 2 or 3 seasons, he hasn't really been an everyday player. He was playing every 2 or 3 games this season. He was not in the lineup on a regular basis, not playing every day. And so he already took on kind of that coach player type of dynamic. Obviously, he was not considered a coach, but, a mentor for a lot of the players in the clubhouse there, a lot of young players with the Rockies right now. So Charlie Blackmon gets his opportunity before the game, gets his opportunity during the game, and gets his opportunity after the game to soak it all in his final game of his major league career. Love to see it. And I wish nothing but the best for Chuck and his family as he enters on into the next chapter of his life. But we'll always remember the fun times. We'll always remember the walk-up song, the big-time moments, the great defensive plays, the big-time hits. That's what Charlie Blackmon is, a lifelong Rocky, 14 fabulous seasons in Colorado. All right, let's hit our final break. When we come back, I'll do a little big-picture conversation since there's nothing for me to preview tomorrow. I'll give you some thoughts on the organization, who may be back, who may not be back. I'll give you some raw thoughts here. But let me hit that break. We'll come back and do just that and then put a bow on the show and a bow on the season right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast. Back in a few. All right, you guys, let me tell you about my friends over at Game Time real quick, because Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching throughout thousands of tickets. Guys, there are so many incredible features about Game Time that I love. Curated deals make it easier to find the best prices on great seats. Let me tell you about some of my favorite features. I told you about Game Time Picks. My personal favorite feature on Game Time is their all-in pricing. When you're on the website or you're on the app, you toggle this feature, and it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. It shows you exactly what you're going to pay. I love that, because there's nothing worse than when, hey, these tickets are $25, these tickets are $40, and then it ends up being $75 because of these random fees and this and that. I want to know exactly what I'm paying for, and my friends over at Game Time allow me to do that with their all-in pricing feature. Plus, you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy with their seat viewer, and the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you not 100% of the difference, but 110% of the difference. Plus, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download that Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, they do apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. I'm an active Game Time user, guys. Take advantage of that promotion. Get yourself some money saved if you haven't signed up with Game Time yet. Again, use that code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase, and let them know that Locked On Rockies sent you. Okay, welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Final show of the season. It's been a pleasure to be here with you guys. You can follow me on social media at Media by AP, and make sure to subscribe if you're a Denver sports fan to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. That way you guys never, ever miss an episode of your Locked On Rockies, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Buffs, and Locked On Nuggets postcast. Plenty of shows with yours truly. And again, you can follow me on social media at Media by AP. Okay, a couple of big picture things. Dick Monfort was booed today when he was out there on the field for the pregame ceremony's final game of the year. I think that is well warranted. I don't think he cares that he's booed. That's not the first time that he's been booed. But the Rockies fans definitely made sure to let him hear it, right? They're not pleased. And it's crazy to me that as bad as the Rockies organization has been since Dick Monfort's been the sole owner of the organization, that up until last year, they had never lost 100 ball games. And that was always like the feather in Dick Monfort's cap of well, we never lost 100, right? And now 2 years in a row, 2 consecutive seasons for the Rockies, they've lost 100 games. This year, it's 101. They finished with a record of 61-101, 5th place in the National League West. Let me pull up the standings real quick. Let's see how far back they were of the 4th place team. I mean, yeah, guys, they were 20 games worse than the Giants. The Giants finished 80 and 82, so they finished below 500. And even the Giants were 18 games back of first place. The Dodgers end up winning the division, 98 and 64. The Padres with a strong second half. They finished at 93 and 69. The Diamondbacks, who are still fighting for a playoff spot, 89 and 73. As I mentioned, the Giants are 80 and 82. And then it's like there's all of that, a gap. And then there's the Rockies at 61 and 101. Ay, ay, ay. That is awful. And I thought that, this season was just bad baseball across the board more often than not, combination of bad offense, bad pitching. I think the bigger issue for me was the offense this season, though, if I'm being honest with you. Like, they had some decent moments in the rotation. Feltner put together some good starts. Freeland put together some good starts. Gomber was serviceable. The bullpen was all right in spurts. But the Rockies lineup, I felt like, just did them no favors this season. I mean, they struck out double digits. It felt like every single game, uncompetitive at bat after uncompetitive at bat. And what makes us think that's going to change? We know that Ezekiel Tovar is a stud. We know that Brenton Doyle is a phenomenal player. He's more so known for his defense, but this year he burst on the scene with his bat. And if Brenton Doyle and Ezekiel Tovar can mirror their seasons next year that they had this season, at least you have two guys that you can rely on a semi-regular basis to help produce some offense for you. Tovar is a doubles machine, also showed some pop this season. Let me see here with Mr. Tovar real quick. What did he finish with? Tovar finishes the season with a 269 batting average, 26 home runs, and 78 runs batted in. So you want to see him up those RBI. But at the end of the day, the fact that he had 26 home runs, like, I always thought this was going to be a guy that was going to float. If he got to 15, maybe you were lucky. So, he really obviously worked on his pop and his swing throughout the course of last offseason, and it paid off for him. But the Rockies have got to figure out a way to get some more positive offensive talent in here, man, because the Jake Caves of the world and the Aaron Shunks of the world and all these guys, it's just not going to cut it, man. And when you're moving into next season, you're expecting a bounce back year from Nolan Jones. You're hoping that Tovar can, repeat his season. You're hoping that Doyle can repeat his season. You're hoping Ryan McMahon just does not fall off a cliff. And I don't expect any major overhauls with the Rockies organization this offseason. But the one question that I do have is, will Buddy Black be back? After two consecutive 100 loss seasons, does Dick Monfort decide, you know what, buddy, it was a good ride. We enjoyed those two playoff seasons. We were competitive with you for a while there, winningest manager in franchise history. But maybe it's time to kind of on to brighter pastures. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Dick Monfort blames Buddy Black entirely for the 100. Name me a manager that's not losing 100 games with this team or 90 games. Maybe, did Buddy Black make some boneheaded decisions this year? Sure. Every manager has their moments, but give me prime Joe Torre with the Yankees, or give me AJ Hinch, who's led the Detroit Tigers, on a surge here, or Carlos Mendoza, who's got the Mets playing well in the second half of the year. Give me any manager in Major League Baseball and have them find less than 90 losses on this team. I don't know how big of an influence Buddy Black it played this season in regards to the wins and the losses, and I guess that maybe that's not the best thing to say, but the roster was not built for success. Buddy Black was not set up for success. So, I'm not expecting any major overhauls from the Rockies organization. They're not going to sign any big free agents. They probably got to figure out something with Chris Bryant. I forgot about him, to be honest with you. What a disaster that has been. I could do a whole show on Chris Bryant if I wanted to. But at the end of the day, it is a disappointing end to the season for the Colorado Rockies as they lose today 2-1 to the Los Angeles Dodgers. A lot of questions. Like I said, will Buddy be back? Will they try to make some moves in the offseason? Will they run it back with Chris Bryant, or will they try to figure out a trade or cut him? Or I don't know, because he's been robbing them for 2-3 years now. I mean, he's contributed this much to the organization. Nothing. Not even ticket sales. I'm sure he sold some jerseys when he first came to town, but the body of work for Chris Bryant has been an absolute disgrace. And I know he's been hurt, but for what they paid him and the situation that they were in when they paid him, it just made no sense. So we'll see what happens with Chris Bryant. We'll see what happens with the rotation, with the bullpen. Like some stuff, some guy, Halverson, good outing here, good solid ending of the season as well. I think Victor Vodnik showed some stuff in the middle of the year. Tyler Kinley was up and down, but maybe you got something with him. I like how Ryan Feltner, the starting pitcher, finished. You need to get Antonio Senzatella and Herman Marquez back on track. And, just another season of Rockies baseball in the books as they lose 101 ball games this season. But all right, I think that's it for me. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in into your Locked On Rockies postcast throughout the course of the season. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Looking forward to doing it again next year, hopefully with better results. And once again, shout out to Charlie Blackmon, Chuck Nasty on 14 incredible seasons with the Colorado Rockies. It's going to be a long off season. We'll keep you guys locked in with everything. Make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. Follow along with me on social at Media by AP, at Mile High Sports. And that's all she wrote. Have a good offseason, folks, and we'll talk to you when we talk to you.